If your rock and metal snares fall apart, sound weak, and just kind of sound thin, well, the problem is you might be asking too much of one snare. And if you have multiple layers and you're like, I know about layering snares, well, then you might be asking too little of like 17 snares. So let me show you exactly how I get a great sounding rock and metal snare that fits in the mix, is punchy, but doesn't overwhelm everything else. And I do it in a really simple way. So let's take a listen to these drums here. Now let's listen to just the drums by themselves. So let me kind of give you an overall view of what I'm actually using. First, I am using Get Good Drums Nu Metal, and I have everything routed out individually to their own separate tracks here. So you can see the kick, the snare, the side snare, and I'm doing a bit of processing on the main snare here. And you can also see that I'm running to a kick sample and a snare sample here, and I'll get to that in just a second. But for now, we're going to turn those off, and we're going to listen to what it sounds like without my additional samples. And you'll be surprised that it still actually sounds pretty decent. So first off, I'm using the pre-mixed set inside of Get Good Drums. If you are like, I need to be doing my own mixing, I don't think you need to. A lot of these were already mixed by professionals and they sound phenomenal. And so you can just use the premix sounds that are there. In fact, I've gotten to the point now where it just saves me workflow and CPU to just load up a set of pre-mixed sounding drums. And then I can make some minor tweaks and adjustments to that. And I actually send that out. I'm a professional music producer and this is literally what I do. And I will send out a lot of these pre-mixed drum samples as they are already. Not that I don't know how to mix drums. I still think that's a very valuable skill that you should have, but it's not necessary. You don't have to mix your own drums from scratch in order to have a professional sounding mix. You can use some of the baked in stuff, but I am adding some additional enhancements. So let me show you what I'm adding. So let me turn off all my processing, and this is what these drums sound like completely out of the box. Which already sound pretty decent. Now, if I turn on my processing, it sounds a lot better. So first and foremost, we're going to be focusing on the snare. The first thing that I have is I actually have processing on the overall bus that is hitting that snare. So I have a little bit of compression and a little bit more compression and a little bit of revival, which is just adding a bit of shimmer and a bit of thickness to this overall. So let me turn off everything on the drum bus itself. So with it off, on. Off. And then back on. Already adding a bunch more thickness to this already. It's getting it a bit more punchy, it's bringing it up in the mix, and it's starting to sound really decent. Then I have a little bit of clipping going on just to be able to handle some of the kick, snare, tom stuff that's going through, just so it gives me a little bit more headroom on the master bus. Now we can go down to the individual parts of the kit. And for this video, I'm focusing on the snare. I have a bit of R bass to thicken up that low end, and I absolutely love R bass on snares. With it on. Off. On. Adds a lot of low end thickness to that. And then I'm going into a bit of compression here using a distressor. And then on. Once again, really simple, not doing a whole lot, but each little bit is adding a bit more punch to that overall snare. Then finally, I'm going to a snare sample, which sounds like this. Super wide, has a lot of room sound to that, and I really like the vibe of that overall. And all I'm doing is I'm running this in Waves in Trigger, which is just a triggering program that allows you to drag in a sample, and then every time the snare hits, that gets sampled alongside of it. So I have it on a bus. I've ran the snare out to its own bus, and then on that bus, I have in Trigger right there. And then everything can be sampled directly through here. Off. And then on. really adding a bit of width and room to that overall snare. And that's it. That's everything going to the mix bus. And so I'm not asking everything out of one snare, but I'm not blending in 17 different snares to try to get the most out of it either. I am making sure that I have really good drum tones at the source, and I'm blending in additional samples with a purpose. There's a reason behind the drum samples that I've added. I was looking for a bit of width and a bit of room to that, and it worked well overall. Now, great drum tones without great guitar tones can make a mix fall flat. So you're gonna wanna watch this video next. In this video, I break down exactly why your amp sim guitar tones suck and how to actually fix it. And hint, it's probably not the amp sim. I'll see you there. Now, as always, go create.